Hello. Well, I've spent oh, I guess half my day today going around the internet and finding something to talk about. And I went to one of my common sites. I went and I looked on Rumble and found an episode of the Joe Pags show from yesterday. And while I was listening to it, he brought up a very interesting question. Now, we all know that former presidents um, they may have some classified documents that they they keep after they leave office. They're allowed to do that, and we all know that there was a big hullabaloo over Biden having some classified documents. The thing that really brought it to a head, well, they didn't find it until Biden was president. They didn't find these documents. But these documents extended all the way back to 1972 when he became a senator. Now, presidents have the right to take classified documents with them after they leave office. Presidents. These were documents from when Joe Biden was a senator and when he was a vice president. Now, senators and vice presidents do not have that right. They they don't have that. It's not allowed. It's breaking a federal law if they do. But these weren't found until Joe Biden was president. But he he should still have to abide by the law. So when he took them home, he was still a senator. He was still a vice president. He broke the law, and they had a federal prosecutor that went through the whole thing, and he I believe his last name was Her, and they basically said that, well, you know, Joe Biden is an old man and he's suffering from old man issues. Basically saying, he has a really bad memory. So he's he can't be prosecuted. He actually said that. He can't be prosecuted because he doesn't have the mental faculties to be prosecuted, to understand what, if you have a trial, you have to be cognitively able to understand what you're being prosecuted for. They said Joe Biden doesn't have that. Now, mind you, this is while he was while he was a sitting president. He was cognitively unable to stand trial. Well, I don't know. I may be picky, but if the man is cognitively impaired to the point that he cannot defend himself in a court of law, why do we have him in the highest office in the country? first off. And, and number two, all those pardons he signed at the end of his office, at the end of his term in office, do they even count? Because he pardoned Fauci, he pardoned um, Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney, he pardoned his son Hunter, who the evidence says he broke federal law. He broke felonies. And then the pardon he gave him was, anything that maybe may come up in any investigation. Well, but he's said through the whole Hunter Biden laptop thing, he says, my son did nothing wrong. My son, he's honest. He didn't break any laws. Well, then why do you have to give him a pardon? If he didn't break any law, why pardon him? Well, just in case. I'm sorry, but this really stinks. I mean, we have a sitting president who is cognitively unable to stand trial, to answer for what he's done or what he may have done. Unable to defend himself. And he's writing pardons for people that he says didn't do anything wrong, but yet we're going to give him a pardon anyway. And I mean, Fauci's pardons went all the way back to when he was instrumental in the HIV, whatever you want to call it, scandal or hullabaloo or whatever. I mean, he all the way back in the 80s. I mean, that's when I was in the Marine Corps, and I remember the big deal about HIV, AIDS. But he did some pretty shady stuff there too. And then the whole COVID scandal. Now it's been proven that he was basically laundering money, putting it through several different hubs to get back to one place where, he was funding, gain of function research. So if he's unable, I don't know why the 25th Amendment, well, I know why the 25th Amendment wasn't enacted. It's because the Democrats, stymied it. They put all sorts of roadblocks in the way. But the 25th Amendment basically gives Congress the right that if the president is compromised or found incompetent, they can remove him from office. That, because founding fathers, they knew that, we're not always going to elect angels. And number two, the presidency is a very stressful job. And it not only affects people physically, where they, you look at presidents before and after they were president, they look a lot younger before they go in office. And all that gray hair just tells you what's happening deeper. That's just surface. It's a very stressful office, and it's I say the only thing that can affect your mind worse than being our president is going to war. But if he was so affected by the office that he couldn't defend himself in a court of law, what is he doing writing pardons? Who knows who he could pardon? Well, we know who he pardoned because now he's out of office and he can't write another pardon. But the ones that he did write have to be called in question because there's a lot of Fauci did that we're just realizing. And I'd be willing to say that it was even, what when Biden came into office, he wrote a whole bunch of executive orders. Well, Trump did the same thing. But a good chunk of them were basically Trump derangement syndrome. And he, just anything that Trump did, he wrote an executive order turning it around, completely subverted what Trump did. Now, I'm not a big fan of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. What Trump is doing now, he did the same thing with Obama, but that was his first term. This second term, he's not going out there with a cleaver, with a butcher knife. He's going out there with a surgeon scalpel. His Department of Government Efficiency, they're going through the books line by line, and he run on, you know getting our deficit down, curtailing our spending tax money where it needs to be spent, not where we want it to be spent, or not where whoever's in charge wants it to be spent. They're going in surgically now, and they're going through the books line by line, and they're exposing, hey, we're sending this much money to this pet project and this much money to that useless cause. They're calling them out, and now they're turning their eyes on the Department of Education, which is a good thing. But he's not categorically, throwing everything out that Biden did. He'd have every right to, because that's what Biden did when he took office. Anything that had Trump's stamp on it, here's an executive order that says that's null and void. Everything, even the good things, the tax the tax the tax reduction that Biden signed into law, or that Trump signed into law his first term. He just sat there and stalled people until it got to the point where they'd run out. Well, and our taxes went up. I remember when Biden signed that into law, and my taxes went down. The Trump tax cuts, and it was even people that were making thousands and tens of thousands of dollars said, "Yeah, this is good." He from top to bottom, people noticed they got they didn't have to pay as much in taxes. It was a good thing. The American people got more of their money, the money that they earned. Well, Biden wiped that right out. But if how far back does this incompetency that that prosecutor found, how far back does it go? He I can understand giving a man a pass because he's old. His memory isn't that good. But if he's not competent enough to stand trial and defend himself, why did we leave him in office? I thought, if he, of course, you look at the other side of that coin, and who would you have to replace him? You'd have Kamala Harris. What could possibly go wrong? Or if Harris didn't do it, who's the next in line? The the Speaker of the House of Representatives. At the time that this was coming out, it was Nancy Pelosi. What could possibly go wrong? So we were very close to just a, a system of unlikable alternatives. To be honest with you, I'm glad, but I'm very surprised that our country made it through that, because it was one a 4 year span that we were in some sort of hellish goulash that we had a few voices in Congress that were trying to keep the ship going in the right direction, but it was hard. It was one hell of a storm. But I think that should be looked into. You know, you know, are these pardons even valid? If he is so mentally incapacitated that he can't go to trial or be prosecuted for these actions, why did we let him sign lawful documents giving all these people pardons? Some of them, I don't believe they deserve pardons. Liz Cheney, no, she puts the capital R on Rhino. A Republican in name only, because she votes like a Democrat. You talk about getting rid of the illegal cartels. Well, let's start with with the one we got in Washington D.C. called the Democrat Party. They're just as crooked as any of the drug smugglers coming across the border, and they're working hand in hand with them. Why did we have such a disaster on our southern border? Well, they had to let their compatriots come in, drug smugglers and you know, sex slavers and child slavers. We had to let them in. Plus, we had to let the terrorists come in. I mean, most of those people coming across the border, a good chunk of them were not, Mexicans wanting to seek a better life. There were some from the Middle East, Syria, Lebanon. They come over here for the sole, and now we don't know where they are. We have no idea where they went. I mean, all it takes is one of them to get lucky. And we're going to have who knows how many people, Americans, dead. That's the bad thing about that whole situation. They only have to be lucky once. We have to be lucky every single time. Yeah, we caught one, but how many more got away? And where are they? Nope, don't know. Guess we'll see what happens. And when some shopping mall or school or parade explodes, or one of them takes an SUV and runs it into a crowd, well, who's going to be held account for that? When did he come across? Who's going to, because we had Kamala Harris as our borders are, and everything was relaxed. They're not criminals. How do we know? Who is vetting them? We bring them across the border, and there you go. There's a whole country there for you. Don't forget your court date. Wonder how many of them are going to show up for their court date. Well, now we got ICE going around, and they're pulling them out of whatever hole they've found for themselves. I just hope they're fast enough. I don't know what the tally is so far. I think the last time I looked, it was like 3,700 illegal immigrants deported. But we've got, how many millions came across our border, though? And where are they? No, I think I'll give Joe Pags a plug. Joe Pag show. It was from yesterday. So February 7th, 2025, Joe Pag show. And he brought up a very interesting subject. It are those pardons even valid? I think we should look into it because there were a lot of people that were affected by COVID alone. I believe there was a lot of illegal stuff that went on in the name of COVID that Fauci's hands are all over. And as far as Liz Cheney, well, I don't know if you can prosecute somebody for being stubborn or stupid, but I guess that's something we should look into. But then again, there's a lot of people out there that think I should be prosecuted. So because I'm stubborn and because I'm stupid. But it would be interesting. It's we're gonna clean house. Let's clean all of it, even the top shelf. Get the dust and crud off the top shelf too, and then work our way down. Or get 5 or 6 of us together and everyone work on a level. Like I said, I'm happy to see what's going on in Washington. It's been a house cleaning that's been long overdue. But as always, keep your ear to the ground. Too much of a good thing is still bad. But I got about 2.5 minutes, so I'll say, if you like what you hear, give me a thumbs up. One of these. Subscribe. That'll help me. I know I've had about 1,400 views on Rumble. Haven't been that many on YouTube, but they got their algorithm, and it's hard to fight against that. Hard to get started on that, but Rumble is really going surprisingly good. Now I just need subscribers and figure out the whole monetizing thing. But I'd appreciate the thumbs up. I'd appreciate, a subscription. I'm just an old Marine giving his 2 cents worth. And enjoying myself while I'm doing it, I might add. But my 30 minutes is almost up. So I'll wish you all a good day and take a look. Let me know if you like. Let me know what you think. I'm open to criticism and I'm open to compliments. Both are good to me. But my time is limited. So until tomorrow, Semper Fi.